I'll just hit the 1 Inch Network news as people roll in here. Hey, Natalia, how are you?
Hey, Natalia. Hey, Rev. How you guys doing?
Good. So this is kind of open discussion, community call. So at any point, if you guys have any questions, just use the hand raise feature and we can add you to the stage and you can ask the question directly to us, or you can post your question in text in the community calls channel. It should be right above this Discord stage. We can read the question off. So some 1 Inch Network news. So we hit $228 billion in total volume across all of our networks in the month of June. We've launched some new episodes of the DeFi Visions podcast, or I guess it's more of a YouTube show. We interview leaders in the Web3 crypto space, and the last few episodes feature me as the host. Yeah, it was really cool. We got to talk to projects like My Ether Wallet, synthetics. Let me post these links here. We had a 1 Inch meme contest and the winners have been announced. Pretty darn funny memes there. So good work to everyone who submitted there. We have some news on the derivatives front. So I think you guys can remember back in spring we launched or we passed 1IPO5, which was integrating derivative aggregation with the 1 Inch network. We actually delivered on that with integrating Opium. So you can stake your 1 Inch and earn a bit of a yield there by writing call options through the 1 Inch DApp. Now let's move on to governance. So we actually have the temperature check vote to get 1 Inch listed on Aave. It's going very well. I think it ends tomorrow, and then the final vote should start next week. So hopefully by the end of the month, we're going to have 1 Inch listed as collateral on Aave, which will be very cool because it's the first decentralized money market that 1 Inch will be able to be used as collateral in. For governance side on 1 Inch, we have a couple proposals in Snapshot, 1IPO8 and 1IPO9, which is going to add some diversification to the treasury and even start buying some 1 Inch token with treasury funds. These actually both hit quorum yesterday, so nothing drastic change that look like these are going to pass. I talked to the back-end devs and they say it will only take about 2 weeks to get these built out. Very exciting news there. And then the last thing is conferences. We were at NFT NYC and ETH NYC last month. Very cool meeting some of you guys there. I actually talked to CJ there, and he showed me the Atlantis World demo. So that was very cool. Thank you for that, CJ. And then next week, we're going to be at ETHCC in Paris. Let's move on to introductions. Sorry. Yeah, most of you guys know me. I'm Jordan, go by Round Elephant here in the forum, 1 Inch core contributor. Move on to Matt or Natalia.
Sorry, guys, was muted. Hey, everyone. My name is Matt, and I work on the support and community teams also. And yeah, kind of wear a couple different hats for 1 Inch.
Can someone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Natalia.
Amazing. Finally, I can speak. I adjusted my AirPods. Hello, everyone. I'm Natalia, taking care of community and support, also one of the core contributor at 1Inch. Super happy to be on this call finally on the stage. And super excited about, this conversation with Atlantis World.
Thank you, Natalia. Good to have you. How about CJ and Rev? You guys want to introduce yourselves? Maybe speak on the project a little bit?
GM, thank you so much, 1Inch fam, for having us. Great to see some of our favorite call contributors from the 1Inch family leading the call. Been great to sync up with you guys, IRL across multiple, meetings and also conferences over the last few months. And just in general, really happy to be part of the 1Inch ecosystem and community. I'm CJ. A brief introduction about myself. I'm co-founder. I'm product lead at Atlantis World. My co-founder Rev is also here and will share, some introduction. Basically, in terms of the brief overview, when it comes to Atlantis World, we're building the Web3 social metaverse by connecting Web3 by social, gaming and education in one virtual world that's accessible to everybody. And so a really core part of that is taking leading applications from across the Web3 stack and leading communities, and for example, 1Inch, and creating some presence for them inside of the metaverse. But beyond that, actually integrate the application in a gamified sense and create some onboarding around that. So users will actually complete quests that might involve, for example, swapping assets on 1Inch across multiple different chains and actually earning some rewards, starting with for example, on-chain reputation. And beyond that, we also see to serve this need for existing and leading Web3 communities like 1Inch to, for example, facilitate these kind of in-game social events And we've also, in the case of Onyx, like implemented DAO voting as well. So in the very soon, you'll be able to have, for example, like this exact kind of 1inch community call with different, like promoted speakers and community listeners actually like there present inside of like the 1inch clubhouse and HQ in game. And I shared a link in the community calls channel to some teaser and actually have the community call and also like even like actively vote on governance proposal from within this kind of game hub as well at the kind of same time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, CJ. Very excited about this. Rev, do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, a little quiet, but I can hear you.
Just a moment.
While Rev works on that, CJ.
Should be fine now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure always being here with 1inch family. My name is Rev. I'm other part of co-founding part of Atlantis and also the growth lead. Beyond what CJ mentioned, I would say that the core focus of Atlantis is gamified social onboarding of both Web3 natives and also Web2 folks inside of the Web3 whole ecosystem and creating the environment of win-win collaboration, co-creation for other stakeholders of ecosystem, and those are together with 1inch, the best Web3 protocols projects in the space. And it's super exciting to bootstrap this ecosystem together.
Cool. Thank you very much. Do you guys want to give like a more detailed overview of what Atlantis World actually is? I heard you guys mention in-app swaps, community calls inside Atlantis World, even DAO voting. Are all those features live? Or I guess generally, when will this game actually be live for the community here?
Yeah, definitely. I can for sure take the lead on that side and share some initial comments. We have been building actually Atlantis World kind of for over 1 year now. We're actually building kind of, I would say, maybe version 1.1 of our alpha, or probably there's a lot more versions than that, but in terms of like, I guess you could even call it a V2 because there was like some kind of radical restriction that we made to our server and like map architecture and stuff like that to basically improve the performance of the game and get closer to a position where we can host, like really busy events and concurrent kind of voice chats. We're preparing actually to like publicly launch our alpha, but kind of in the meantime, we have like our founding Atlanteans who have supported us in the early days. So by the way, the 1inch kind of foundation, network, community, DAO is also someone that we see as kind of founding partner of the Atlantis World ecosystem. And I would love to add that anybody who is actually listening to the call today and will receive kind of the pull-up of the event will be able to then get the access to the alpha. So yeah, I guess what I'm kind of saying is we are planning to publicly launch soon.
The pull-up's going to have some utility, in-game utility then, today's call.
Yes. Well, the pull-up is actually going to give people access to the game itself. Because 1inch is essentially 1inch community is essentially founding partner of the Atlantis World, ecosystem, because we highly appreciate, all of your guys' support from the early days. And so that everybody that's listening and will get the pull-up will be able to use it actually to get whitelisted for the alpha itself, and to come and kind of play along and test out, visit the 1inch clubhouse alongside other kind of DeFi protocols and a bunch of other kind of fun stuff. They'll be able to check that out, give us the feedback and kind of dive in. Basically, like we're going through this process of whitelisting kind of some of our like founding partner communities, and onboarding slowly more and more users into actually like testing out the alpha. And we also have like lots of exciting kind of collabs, announcements, updates kind of on the way. Once we'll get to the stage of publicly launch, we'll feature actually over like 25 deeply like natively integrated Web3 applications and social clubhouses across, I believe, 10 plus blockchains with essentially the strongest communities in Web3. So users can have voice chats with or without token gaining, vote in DAOs inside of the game. So in the case of 1inch, we've already integrated Snapshot so that you can basically vote in Snapshot, kind of just use generally Snapshot from inside of the 1inch clubhouse, and even when connected on a voice chat or to some community event. And then, of course, you can also do in-game swaps. So every single chain actually that 1inch is currently live on, users are able to trade assets on in-game. And we're also working on some other things, like, for example, users can deposit into other like DeFi applications, actually trade assets on some other dexes. They can trade NFTs on marketplaces. They can play mini games. They can view their NFT holdings as kind of a smart inventory. They can play music using the Audius music streaming widget that we actually built. But actually, funny enough, in like the top 30 of the third-party applications building on Audius in terms of API calls, even at this stage of having like a closed build, which is kind of cool, we just envisioned that there will be lots of different kind of community like and social events In terms of like the current progress, since everybody will get the PO app, they can actually visit to the 1inch Clubhouse. They can experiment to make swaps on any chain which 1inch is live on. They can indeed interact with the snapshot model, take part in 1inch governance from inside of we actually been calling that the dojo. And I guess if you guys will see the link to the teaser that I shared
I love
in the
that
channel,
name.
or you will join. It's a pity we can't screen share on the stages, but this is why we decided like everybody will get the access. There's also some teasers previously shared on our socials that I was trying to link to. But you'll guess see very soon why that will be kind of considered the dojo. But yeah, the current state is that you can basically swap assets. You can vote in the DAO itself. And in future, there will be more of like this NPC, which means non-player character, kind of MMORPG style like questing to actually onboard users into 1inch. And if like a brand new user, for example, swap assets on 1inch, they'd actually be able to earn like some on-chain reputation and even build like this kind of like on-chain resume of interacting with different crypto protocols. And being onboarded like into the Web3 ecosystem, which we find as kind of really powerful for onboarding. But in terms of like the existing 1inch community, which I see is super important because the call is the 1inch community call, right? So you guys are already here. We're kind of upgrading and refining our features around building, really powerful implementation for social events so that users can connect in game, have similar experience to what we're having now, but also like interact with other people in the crowd, even use the app itself, and also engage in governance. We're kind of really excited about that.
Cool. So it sounds like we might be able to do like a kind of a joint community call on your side soon, right? Once the game is live and people can use their POAPs to get early access, might be able to do the next 1inch community call in there.
Yeah, let's do it. I
Awesome.
think that would be fantastic. Really excited about that. And we really see it as kind of a core use case, especially when that also kind of involves engaging in governance. And something, we discussed with Natalia, with Matt, with the rest of the team, even very in the early days, is trying to boost participation in like 1inch DAO and governance. And we really see that incentivization is a key way to get people to do anything, right? We really see that like incentives, they move mountains and they encourage people to be engaged and to contribute and to add some value, or even to complete some learning, and in that kind of sense, add some value to themselves, right? So if a user will complete a quest that onboards them into crypto and kind of arms them with the tools they need for financial sovereignty and independence, we see it's really cool to incentivize that with, could even be like digital swag. Like imagine you'll trade asset on 1inch in game and earn like 1inch digital wearable. Could even be like some badge which is like you're proficient in using your 1inch, and that kind of serves as like an on-chain resume or CV, kind of based around your on-chain activity and engagement in like educational activities relating to the on-chain itself.
Yeah, I guess reputation and identity is kind of a big topic on our DAO. If you go on our forums, people are talking about it a lot. So that'd be a cool integration there, a cool use case.
Yeah, definitely. And then we really see that like in the future, that doesn't have to stop at swaps, so to speak, because we're trying to, of course, like this is general problem in terms of trying to boost participation in DAOs. We could also incentivize that. And I guess, talking about these kind of themes of reputation, also curious to learn more about how you guys are approaching that, or so about the inner workings of the community in the DAO. But I think like even to earn like some like cool swag, or one thing we said in the early days, imagine that people who are like ultra active in the 1inch DAO can actually fly around that Atlantis World game on the 1inch like unicorn. Like it sounds like funny, but it's like I think this social proof gamified reputation is actually, I believe, will prove to be immensely powerful and super cool actually. And so it's kind of sounds funny, but we're deadly serious about that.
This actually kind of leads me to a question. You mentioned like incentives and like financial independence, and it seems like you guys are kind of blending gamification with all this stuff. And I'm just curious, is like, what's the story of how Atlantis World was born? I mean, you guys are building so many features into the platform right now, and you guys seem very driven to like build this out and actually make it something very useful. So yeah, it'd be really cool to hear your story on how it was born, and where do you think like GameFi is going in the future in like metaverse stuff?
I think you might be on mute, CJ.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. No worries. Yeah, so basically in terms of how Atlantis World was actually born, we've been building now for over 1 year. We actually still didn't take like single dollar from any investor in the private like VC sense. We really see that public goods are good, if you'll pardon the meme, and also that being a community first project that is not going to be pushed by like, for example, venture capital to like hyper monetize or sell user data or do something which is exponentially damaging to the community itself that actually kind of provides all of the value to the product. We wanted to go like, and let me be super clear, like we wanted to go the hard route, and it is absolutely been, incredibly difficult. And that's why we are so fortunate, for example, the support of 1inch and like receiving grant from the 1inch Foundation, because this is what enables, Atlantis World to stay independent and to stay mission kind of vision aligned and prioritize always our community. And then beyond that, the community of 1inch and our founding partner network, who we see kind of as ultimately, right, the community of Atlantis World as well. We kind of see that we are in this together. And so the support of you guys has been actually instrumental in terms of enabling that kind of approach and that independence and that prioritization of both of our communities. And yeah, in terms of how the Atlantis World got started, perhaps Rev could share some comments about the early days.
Yeah, absolutely. We met together with CJ at Kernel, which is Gitcoin's accelerator program, more so for, Web3 folks who are really into building something meaningful for society versus just something for, financial sake. And when we first started, we were actually building two separate projects. I was building 2D pixel battle game with NFTs as token gated access for specific battles. Imagine like you had a CryptoPunk, so you were able to battle with CryptoPunks and so on. And you also had like the social features within the clubhouses, like audio, video, tech chats, etc. And CJ was building 3D immersive metaverse that was plugging into DeFi and had sustainability aspect, carbon offsetting and beyond. And after our first chat, I actually pitched to CJ merging both of our ideas and building something much bigger. Like instead of just focusing on DeFi, let's do like Web3, all Web3 aspects, starting from DeFi, what he was doing, but then going beyond that, covering NFTs, covering culture, covering tooling, covering all sorts of, cross-chain projects. And we started, there was, initially 4 of us as the core team. Today we've grown a bit more, so to speak. And it's actually mind-blowing how much we've changed throughout the year.
So how big is your team now? Sorry, you said it started at 4 and now.
Yeah, we're like 13 right now.
Oh, okay.
4 contributors. We also have like, part-time or project-based contributors, probably around like 3 to 5 more. And we appreciate and value everyone's, contribution. There's also a lot of, core community members that help out a lot and spread the message and even sometimes introduce us to some other cool projects. And so, yeah, to the point of what CJ mentioned, right? The grants and sort of being like community bootstrapped, it's been critical in our success, especially in the early days, because we started with the mindset of, hey, let's like build the demo as soon as possible, just prove that, yes, it works and it can scale. And then let's just fundraise and, just move as fast as possible. But eventually we understood that this is not just the only way that you necessarily need to embark on, especially right away. The grants seemed like a great alternative to that to begin with. And even more so, we understood that it's not always about like the quantity, it's more actually about the quality, because even if you serve, just 1,000 users extremely well, you have a successful product. And it's, for us, it's been all about, making sure our users not just like Atlantis, but actually love it. And when I mean our users, is our community, including even ourselves, our partners, and ecosystems of our partners. And this was started fully, personalized approach to building. Every building, every city, every NPC, every quest that we're creating is like fully branded, it's fully personalized to the story, to the brand, to the community, to the ethos and vibes of the given community. And we love it. We see Atlantis as more like a work of art that we would love to continue pushing on the same way. And I would also wanted to give a shout out, like a big shout out to Natalia, Matt, and everyone else, literally from the 1inch ecosystem. I know it's tough, like work to distinguish folks that could or may not make it, and especially when you're starting out such an experimental project. Like what we've been building, when we started, there was just Atlantis World who had been building like what we've been building in the same manner. Yes, there's a lot of other, DeFi, gamified metaverses, but in terms of what Atlantis World does, in my view, we're sort of one of the biggest ones in this realm. Like, for example, right now we have 25 different integrations across 9 blockchains. We're also exploring non-EVM blockchains, and we have 7 official blockchains, and most of the blockchains that 1inch supports, 1inch is live of them inside of Atlantis, including Polygon, Optimism, BNB Chain, Gnosis, Avalanche, etc. And the cool thing is you can literally change your chain within the MetaMask or another wallet that you're using with like the RPC within like 3-4 clicks inside of the Atlantis World, because we've kind of gamified and rebuilt the chain list and in a like seamless and interactive manner for our users.
That gets pretty complicated, huh? I mean, there's a lot of chains to integrate there. I know the POAPs are issued on, it used to be called XDAI, but it's Gnosis chain now. So you guys are going to be able to look at that and give people access across everything to Atlantis World.
Exactly. So,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I wouldn't say like we are like fully, like across 20, 30 chains, but right now we're getting there. And also like full transparency. We don't want to impose on our users our beliefs. Our main like data's core values of Atlantis is freedom. Freedom for our users, freedom of our ecosystem, freedom of the choice.
Kind of blockchain agnostic on that in that sense.
Exactly. Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's all about giving freedom to our users. What we need to make sure is the projects that we're integrating and the way that we're integrating is as safe as possible, as simple as possible, and also as interactive and fun as possible.
Cool. Thank you. And I think I asked this before, but I don't know if I got an answer. But when Atlantis World, when is this going to be live for everyone in this call?
Yeah, so we can literally we can within 24 hours ensure that everybody who received the POAP will be whitelisted for the alpha and share all of the necessary details and coordinate that together with you around Alpha and of course the rest of the team in the community. So people can drop in and see what we have so far. So they can go to 1inch Clubhouse in the DeFi town. They can trade the assets on every single chain which 1inch is live on from in-game, and also actually be active in 1inch governance from within the dojo itself, and voice chat in kind of elementary sense with any other users which are in the 1inch dojo at the same time. Now, what we're basically doing though is at the moment really focusing around kind of structuring the social features to perfectly suit actually community calls. So like this kind of similar experience is exactly what we have in mind. And I think like when will be the next 1inch community call?
We usually do these things once a month, but if we do like a celebration launch for Atlantis World, we can push that up. I don't think we'd be able to do next week since basically the entire community team's in ECC in Paris. But the week after that, maybe late July, early August, we'd be able to do kind of a unique call inside of the metaverse there.
Yeah,
outside of Atlantis World.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think we can definitely explore hosting like 1inch opening ceremony of the clubhouse. That would be cool. And by the way, we also have a community DJ, so we might ask him to come and DJ as well. To add some more fun elements. And as we already have audio chats enabled, we can chat there and host at least up to 300-400 concurrent users at the same time.
Yeah, and then in terms of actually that, so that right now it's kind of just set up for just typical voice chat. So basically the 1inch dojo becomes like a voice chat room and everybody can kind of talk amongst themselves, but we're improving those features.
Around with little avatars still, right? We have
exactly
characters walking around, entering the dojo and then talking inside of it.
Exactly. But basically, we're planning to ship within, would say, maximum 1-2 months. And so probably we'll shoot for, it would be incredible if we could have the, next community call itself actually hosted within the 1inch dojo. But basically building the features so that you'll promote speakers like this, for example, and have something similar to Discord stages or Twitter Spaces, for example, but in game. And that's what we're really working on finalizing. But yeah, in terms of getting people involved, and we would highly appreciate the feedback. recommend to go to like discord.gg/Atlantis World, drop into our Discord server so that you can always stay updated in terms of like all of the latest like product updates. And then let's coordinate. Let's get everybody who has a part for this call whitelisted actually for the alpha itself. I do believe that will probably be the first actually Atlantis World partner that has been given like kind of it should whitelist spots to the game itself for the community. We're obviously planning to do more of that slowly, and introduce more people to the alpha itself. But I think that will be actually one first example, certainly one of the first examples, especially probably that we've done on that scale, because you can see there are quite a number of people actually listening to the call. And we just highly appreciate if you guys from the 1inch community. I'm speaking to everybody in the audience. I really appreciate your time, by the way, and thank you so much for having us. If you could, give us some feedback, test out the 1inch dojo, and use some of the integrated features like the snapshot voting, and also the swapping itself, and try to chat to some other users. There's also like text chat. You can share emojis. You can use other apps. You can visit like other clubhouses. You can, for example, go to actually arcade building, basically play actually mini games from inside the Atlantis. And we basically have so much stuff that we're kind of, even that we build and integrated, that we're just kind of preparing to ship and implement in game. And I would say that Discord is definitely the best place. Discord and Twitter really, but I feel like Discord is a little bit more like engaging in terms of like feedback and discussion side. That would be the best place to stay updated with everything which is coming in terms of also the timelines and exactly that means.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that honor. Nice to know that 1inch got some early access there. I just want to say you guys are like a huge success for the 1inch grant story. I saw your initial grant agreement. I definitely thought it was ambitious, in-game swaps. I don't think had been done yet. Being able to vote on snapshot in a DAO, I don't think that had been done yet either. And you guys just came out of nowhere with this amazing grant and delivered on all of it. So thank you so much.
It was such incredible. I have goosebumps right now moment for me in New York to show to you and to Matt actually like a live swap of 1inch from within the game itself. And we're so grateful for your support, everyone in the 1inch family and also the community as well. And can't wait to have your guys' feedback on all of the hard work we've been doing. And has been a lot of hard work and was also way more hard work than we ever expected. And was definitely ambitious. But we really are getting there and making the progress and shipping the stuff. So thank you so much.
Thanks. I guess while we wait for questions to come in, I just had a question about the 1inch grants process. So how do you guys find out about it?
Actually,
is it just word of mouth or?
I received the 1inch airdrop. I was one of the first ever users of 1inch. I mean, it's 1inch. Everybody knows about that. But I just want to point out I've actually been around the community since the earliest days. And even received the first actually airdrop when the 1inch token itself launched. Way back when, I don't even know when that was. It feels like 10 years ago, but I'm sure it wasn't actually that long.
I think it was December 2020. So
I got the airdrop. No I got the bag.
Nice.
Yeah, that's funny. I would say back in the days when we were thinking, who would be the ideal partner and also like a great representation of what DeFi is. Obviously, 1inch came to our minds. Since we're also active with, like being on events, and I remember Natalia always jokes that we're everywhere. And we met IRL, also had a chat about that, and also had a chat about that online, applied for 1inch grant. And since then, we've been just always, proactive with our communication and explaining what we're building, also showing the results of what we've done in the past. Because, like giving full credits, we do understand that, especially like 7-8 months ago, we weren't like, let's say, as strong as today in terms of the product. It was still, it's still experiment. And in a way, like experiment, like a big experiment of coordination of, all the Web3 components. But back then it was like much darker, I would say, than today.
Can you kind of touch bases on it? Because I remember your original outfit was working. It was just a little bit buggy, the one you showed us back, I think it was like March or April maybe. And it sounds like you guys built it from the ground up again, because when CJ was showing us it in New York, it was completely smooth, and it had features I didn't think were actually going to get incorporated, to be honest, because they were just so complex. So was that a whole process?
Oh, yeah. So since March, we've been like incredibly focused on like improving performance. Before that, we're just experimenting with, like the integrations was ready, but on the game aspect, we haven't done that much of, improvements in terms of, core like performance. And we like all of our game, like tech team was focused on, improving that, ensuring that there might be as many, concurrent users as possible across different servers. Right now, we also, as CJ mentioned before, set up the servers across 3 different continents. So there might be as many users as possible, choosing their servers, also hosting different events. And so that was the first thing. The second thing is, before it used to be like one gigantic map with sort of, like chaos of clubhouses and different features. and then we decided, okay, like we've grown to the point where we actually have, like considerable amount of partners and clubhouses designed, sketched, and built for us to think about, grouping the clubhouses by sort of different like verticals of Web3, let's say DeFi, DAOs, NFTs, tooling, etc. And we started thinking of, okay, so perhaps it's the time to rethink our map, rethink the, how we locate different partners and ensure that it's also interesting for the end user, right? So we came up with this notion of different cities, DeFi city, DAO city, NFT city, etc., and also chain city. Yeah. So right now we have 2 cities live, and others are like we're just finalizing the testing, and then we'll push them soon. So the 2 cities are the Atlantis city. It's where we have a kind of big clubhouses of our guilds. We have like event center. We have arcade building with mini games. A lot of open source mini games. Like to start with, there are like Web2, but we're also exploring integrated Web3 games as well. Even speaking with some of the big known folks in the space. And we have another city called DeFi city, and that's where we have 1inch and some other cool, DeFi protocols. And then on our roadmap is NFT city, is DAO city, and also we'll have like tooling city. And from tooling, you rightly mentioned, we are the first ever metaverse that integrated Snapshot. And we actually done that with the official collaboration and partnership with Snapshot Labs. And that's been incredible. And the whole notion of so-called, meta governance is going to, in a way, revolutionize how we are sort of tackling both, like high level and day-to-day things. Because at the end of the day, the more we, kind of get used to the notion of, like Web3 economy, online collaboration, like groups, pods, DAOs, and just overall, like creative economy, the more we will be in need of the governance and the tools for, human coordination, and having them inside of the metaverse, which has, if we would look at the gaming stats, there are like 3.4 billion users across the globe that are playing games, all sorts of games. And trying to neglect that, in our view, it's kind of foolish. So, and I mean, even Discord itself, it's kind of like a super simple gamified version of metaverse, almost. But yeah, I mean, hundreds of millions of users use Discord when they play games. So that's another kind of important note why we think and why we're super bullish on, meta governance and just taking what we used to doing in Web3 into the metaverse, into the gaming, and creating a space, an environment, a flow, a quest system, incentives and just fun elements for the next, billions of users to come in and check it out. There's also an important thing. We are not trying to do everything ourselves. In fact, our main goal is to ensure that as a platform, and that's how we position ourselves, not a game, but as a platform. As a platform, we provide all the tools necessary for our partners to succeed. And their success literally equals to our success, because at the end of the day, we're sort of becoming, like gamified front end of Web3.
I really like what you guys are doing there, kind of bridging the 3 main Web3 worlds that I see. I mean, we have the metaverse, DeFi, and DAO governance, and it seems like you guys are kind of bridging the gap between all of those and putting a whole gamified layer on it. So I just think that's awesome.
There is something that Rev said at the end in terms of being a gamified front end for basically, interacting with Web3. Actually brings about something, that we don't often talk about so much, making actually note right now that we should talk about it more. One of the really powerful use cases of Atlantis World and having, apps from all across the Web3 stack and indeed 1inch integrated in game, and kind of having the Atlantis World platform acting as a front end operator for various and at least all of the leading dApps in the Web3 space, it's actually kind of like a great step forward in the realm of decentralization and also censorship resistance. Let's imagine the scenario, and I'm not suggesting that this will happen, or even that I'm definitely not suggesting that Atlantis World is somehow more secure than the 1inch platform itself. But just as a pure theoretical, if 1inch kind of typical like network front end would come under like some attack, could be like DDoS or some like crazy stuff like that, and for whatever reason there will be like some downtime for like the 1inch typical web application because of the autonomous and kind of, I guess you could say, semi-unstoppable nature of smart contracts. If the 1inch platform was down, swaps would still work inside of the Atlantis world because we just interface directly with the smart contract application itself, which has already been built, and have effectively just built an alternative front end. So let's imagine, like,
okay, that's imagine very cool.
Let's imagine 1inch goes down. We can just send all of 1inch users to Atlantis World to use it whilst that will be fixed, as an example. And we see that's kind of really powerful and has a bunch of like further use cases moving forwards as well, in terms of just like contributing in some way to censorship resistance.
Yeah, so you're using the 1inch protocol like on the smart contract level instead of just the 1inch front end that the 1inch foundation controls. That's very cool.
You could consider us as a front end operator for the 1inch network. And what that means is that if 1inch front end will go down for whatever reason, Atlantis World native 1inch front end would actually be resistant to that attack. Of course, if we both got attacked, then both of the front ends will be down. What I'm saying, like in this case, is that like if one of the 1inch front ends will go down, you could still in theory access and use that within the Atlantis.
Yeah, it also goes for censorship resistance also, because like if for some reason our UI got censored, or I mean, like currently even we have geo restrictions in place, like Atlantis World provides another option for those users who are unable to access. That's really cool.
Yeah. Imagine there's even like some, like not even like attack in like the like hack sense, but like there is attack from, for example, government, and there's some like crazy like subpoena, like 1inch front end must stop operating right now. We can kind of just backdoor 1inch users to the front end operation within the Atlantis. I guess shout out to smart contracts and to the fantastic Solidity team at 1inch for building such a fantastic
protocol. Because those things are open and permissionless, and we can't, once they're deployed, there's no admin for it. I mean, they're just there. We can't block people from using them. It's the front end that the 1inch Foundation controls. So they have to comply with all regulations there and make sure that certain users cannot access it. So
definitely there is some kind of theory right now in the DeFi space. Let's just basically produce like infinite amounts of separately hosted front ends, and that will be a great kind of way to tackle ultimately like censorship resistance. Obviously there are some like risk assigned to that in terms of like legitimacy, ensuring that these front ends like are legitimate and that users aren't like being scammed and stuff like that. But obviously I think that's why like it's important, we have the official collaboration. We are the partners who are supported by the foundation, and we're happy to just assist on that side and be an alternative way for users to interact directly with the 1inch network.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that seems to just be a big trend in Web3 right now. I mean, it's probably one of the main advantages of Web3 over Web2 is it seems like almost everyone has an open API, and like something like Snapshot, there's several different ways to access it. They've opened up their API so you can access Snapshot voting directly from some protocols, front ends. I know there's Boardroom where you can access Snapshot voting and delegation. And now you guys just said you're the first game to actually open it up. And so now you can go inside the metaverse and access Snapshot and 1inch swaps. So
I guess what we could say is LFG.
Cool.
One thing to also add is something that we're actually starting to implement right now as we speak. We've been so, focused on like core infrastructure layer of Web3 that we kind of haven't dived deep into like a culture side. So right now behind the scenes, we are exploring a lot of collaborations with like, and I mean, even right now in the group, in the audience, there's a lot of listeners. I see, there's like cool cats, motherfuckers, like now, etc. And we're literally integrated all of that. So eventually, sorry for the noise. Eventually, you'll be able to use your NFTs as your in-game characters and showcase them. So And not just, throughout, just walking around in all clubhouses, but eventually in some other mini games that's all built on top of Atlantis and also built from our ecosystem partners, because we believe in, composability. We don't want to be, limiting our users or other partners. We even explore, portals to other metaverses and games and vice versa, because at the end of the day, the way we see that is, we can all collaborate, coexist, and co-create. And the analogy that we see is, if you live in a city or even, in some rural village area, there's still, at least, a couple of restaurants, if not hundreds of thousands, if you live in a big city. And there are, most of them doing fine. And it's rare that you'll find a person going to the same restaurant. Yeah, it's like, imagine you need to have a meal, the same you need to swap your assets or perform a specific, actions within the game. This could be also done by, for example, maybe instead of swapping on SushiSwap or Uniswap, you can swap on 1inch, and the 1inch can provide you the best rates. And at the end of the day, I think that this all brings the best and the most kind of cheapest, fast ways for the end users to enjoy Web3. And this, we really believe and work for enabling, this vibrancy of ecosystem, because at the end of the day, that just pushes everyone to produce even better products, because otherwise, you'll go out of business, so to speak.
Well, thank you so much. Let's, in the last 10 minutes here, so let's hit up some questions for Atlantis World and also for the 1inch team. I think there's only one official question so far. Barwig is asking about, thank you for the compliment, saying we nailed DEX aggregation. Were we expanding in the future term? So we're looking to expand into derivative aggregation. We just launched, I mentioned it in the 1inch news, but we had 1IPO5, which is a signaling proposal to start derivative aggregation. And we actually started doing that with Opium integration. But we're always looking to expand on that front. 1inch Labs is always working on other stuff. They're constantly updating the aggregation algorithm to be the most efficient. It's a very competitive market now, and they're working on other stuff. I think probably the best way to get alpha on what they're working on is follow the founders on Twitter, Anton and Sergey, and just kind of watch what they say, since they say stuff that I'm not allowed to say. So just follow them.
Guys, I'd just love to say thank you so much for the time, for all of the support since the early days from the 1inch family. Such a pleasure to be, a part of that, and also really excited to invite all of the community and the audience to, test out the Atlantis World Alpha, the 1inch Dojo, all of the live integrations, voice chats, etc. And really excited about the premise of actually hosting a next community call within the Dojo itself in game, and also experiment with coordinating even some governance during the call if possible. I think that, we can wrap up here. I don't think there is anything further to add on our side. We would be happy to, we don't want to take too much of anybody's time, and kind of put that focus back on 1inch. This is the 1inch community call after all. And we highly appreciate everything, and don't want to take, so much more of the time and the limelight, so to speak. And thank you so much. And really, really proud to be kind of member of the 1inch ecosystem, supported by 1inch grants, and it goes way beyond that as well. Supported by the team, by the community, by not just supported by the family, but be part of the family. And really grateful for 1inch, all of the fantastic work that has been done recently as well on the community side, in terms of hosting amazing and regular IRL events for the Web3 community. And it's just fantastic to see if we can help in any way on any matters relating to 1inch. We're always happy to do that, and please let us know, and let's keep in the close touch.
Yeah, thank you. I have an update on the POAP side, guys. It's still under review. I'm not sure why it's taking so long, since I've requested a POAP since then for a different event, and they reviewed it and approved it immediately. I think it might have something to do with the complex artwork. It's a very beautiful artwork. I posted a link to it in the community calls channel, but it might be the GIF format, and also, I don't know, maybe the pixel art. But so DGenBot is tracking everybody in this call that did not have the stage muted. And as soon as I get those mint links, I'm going to be able to upload that, and the bot will distribute them. I'll be sure to ping everyone in this community calls channel as soon as that's available. So I'd check back probably Monday, and we should have it by then. Balak posted the picture of the Pope in the community calls chat there. So very excited to have that. And as they said earlier, it's going to give us some in-game access to this Atlantis world. So yeah, I guess it kind of pays to reward these or to write grants to these projects in the early phases. Once again, I just want to say thank you for Atlantis World, not just for this call, but the great project you guys built. I think it's going to be a great asset to just Web3 in general. Thank you, Matt, Natalia, for joining the stage and everyone who asked questions. Yeah, stay tuned for that Pope drop, and I think that's about everything. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Good chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Till the next one.
Till next time.
Yes, I can't wait to see everybody in the alpha and in the dojo, and let's make it.
Sounds good.
See you guys. Bye.